Coming up on WABJ News, guns in schools, do they actually make students safer?
And thousands march on Washington to rally for immigration reform as Congress sends the bill to the back burner for now. That and more next on WABJ News.
Hello and welcome to WABJ News, where students report the news. I'm Landry Hatcher.
And I'm Michelle Chavez. In the months following the Boston Marathon bombings, Boston continues working to return to normalcy. The bombs, which blew up near the race finish line, killed 3 people and injured more than 250. Injured or not, the incident had a major impact on many lives, bringing back memories of 9/11 as Americans once again watched the situation unfold on television. But this time, social media played a major role, spreading news of the bombings throughout the world within just minutes. Patricia Walsh is a Bostonian who has friends who were injured. She says she still feels the impact the bombings left on the city.
Yes. 3 of my cousin's friends were injured, 2 seriously, 1 not so seriously. 2 are out of the hospital, 1 is still there. A 4th person, while not injured, is suffering trauma from just seeing all the carnage. I think we're beginning to bounce back. It will take a while, but we're going to be taking care of our own. We're going to make sure that everyone's well taken care of, and we'll have another marathon next year.
Investigations continue into the background and motives of the suspects.
Hopes of gun control advocates were crushed in April when the Machen-Toomey bill died in the Senate. The bill would have required gun shows and sellers on the internet to complete buyer background checks. The legislation was sparked by recent incidents involving guns, including the mass incident shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. WABJ reporter Tamina Acheksai has been looking into the situation of guns in schools for security use. What have you learned, Tamina?
Hi, Landry. You're right. Congress has been looking more towards legislation that would restrict gun use and possession. However, some communities are trying instead to expand the role of guns in school security. Since the Sandy Hook incident, the National Association of School Resource Officers says it has been overwhelmed with training requests for SROs, the armed police officers who work in schools. Sandy Hook School District in Newtown did have an employed SRO, but there was not one for each school. Currently, 70% of schools don't have active officers. Organizations like the NRA are pushing for SROs at every school nationwide.
So, would the presence of an SRO prevent an incident like Sandy Hook?
While many believe so, SROs may not be the right solutions. Incidents like the one in Newtown happen very quickly, and it takes a lot of time to prepare for them. And I'm not sure that an armed official would be enough of a deterrent either to someone who is mentally unstable or has harmful motives.
And it doesn't hurt to have an SRO in schools just in case, right?
Actually, research shows that having police and guns in schools can have a negative impact on kids. For instance, it can make kids feel like they're in a dangerous environment. It doesn't help that sometimes SROs are used as alternatives to effective leadership and discipline, which can actually weaken the school's control.
So, what about arming teachers and administrators?
That may seem like it's a little more subtle than having someone in full police uniform, but that may also not be the right solution because proper use of guns takes extensive training, and a lot of schools may not have the resources or money for that. Another thing to consider is the psychological effect of armed teachers and staff, because if the lady who just read the 3 Little Pigs is the same one who picks up a gun and kills an intruder, this could traumatize the kids and potentially have an impact on them for the rest of their lives.
So, other than guns, is there any other way to ensure safety in schools?
Well, of course, there's no way we can completely guarantee a safe school environment. With all the other factors we have to consider, guns may not be the right solution. However, there are alternatives like metal detectors. Metal detectors don't come off as intimidating as guns, and they can also limit the chance that weapons are being carried into the school by intruders. Another thing that some districts are doing is they're allowing unarmed officials to come into schools who are usually retired police officers, and they just lend a pair of eyes to help help out. But the most importantly, experts say that the country needs to look at gun security outside of schools, because this is where national gun legislation comes in. And though one bill didn't pass in Congress, that doesn't mean there's not hope for others.
All right, well, thanks, Tamina. Very interested to see where this all goes. Turning to another controversial subject, immigration. Thousands of people from across the country came to D.C. recently to show their support for this major issue that Congress has been wrestling with for years. At the rally, local area students also showed their support for immigration reform. Many traveling to the Capitol by bus urged Congress to discuss a path to citizenship. Michelle Chavez was there and has more.
The school day is over, but instead of going home, hundreds of students are boarding buses to make their way to the Capitol. These students traveled on buses departing from schools in Montgomery and Prince George's County, provided by nonprofit organization Casa de Maryland. These students say they joined the rally because they feel it is necessary to show their support.
I am an undocumented student, and I believe that I have to do this for myself. If I don't do it myself, I don't think people would be motivated to do it with me. So I have to, it has to start from the person who's being affected by the issue, and then it keeps growing into inviting my friends and other people. So that's why I attended the rally, because we need an immigration reform as soon as possible.
I went to the rally because I believe that we need a comprehensive immigration reform this year. And the rally is a great way to show the faces who are affected by the issue.
Not all citizens at the rally were undocumented, however. These citizens say they were there because they recognize the impact immigration reform will have on the people they know.
I am not undocumented, but I have many friends that I can say don't have the same privileges I am able to have because of their status in the United States. I believe they should have every right to get their driver's license, to get a social security number, make the immigration process easier.
Congress continues to work toward a reform that could provide a path to citizenship for millions of undocumented immigrants. For WABJ News, I'm Michelle Chavez. A federal court recently denied the Obama administration's effort to put aside the McKinney-Vento Homelessness Assistance Act. This order requires the federal government to give homeless service providers access to unused federal property. While this gives homeless programs space for their efforts, many still face a problem of funding. WABJ reporter Tamina Achexai looked into this issue to find out what effect the current economy is having on homeless in D.C.
I'm standing here in Franklin Square, where dozens of homeless men and women gather every day.
I got here some lentils, I got here water, I got here banana, I got carrots.
Because of this, various homeless help programs are trying to lead efforts to help shape a better future for their community. Every month, college and high school students volunteer with an organization called Project Downtown to make brown bag lunches for the homeless. The volunteers fill boxes with bags of sandwiches, bottled water, and chips. While the homeless do appreciate the gesture, the food costs Project Downtown $200 to $300 a month. The organization gets help from several sponsors as well as volunteers themselves. Martha's Table also reaches out to the poor. It provides services including food, clothing, and education. With the fluctuating economy, Martha's Table has seen increases in customers and decreases in funding. However, they have found ways to fill the gap.
We did receive less funding from certain government agencies, but our funding from private foundations, for example, spiked. And that's because Martha's Table is seen as kind of an anchor in the community. We've been around for 33 years, and they wanted to fund places where they knew or that had a proven success record, or they knew that were impacting the community directly at that time when it was so needed.
While the homeless help programs do have alternative funding sources, the economy has a clear impact on the number of clients walking in the door. These numbers have helped D.C. homeless advocate Eric Sheptalk and others fight to keep shelter doors open.
The government has threatened to shut down different shelters and decrease funding for various homeless services, and myself and other advocates have come out to fight the budget cuts, and we've gotten some of the money that we fought for restored to the budget. And that's why shelters haven't closed.
This is Tamina Achexai for WABJ News.
It's no secret that the economy has been suffering for the past couple of years, with everyone being affected from families to businesses and most recently, the government. The tough times have taken a toll. Small businesses especially are struggling to find a way to stay afloat in trying times. Landry Hatcher went to a local business to find out more on how it's surviving in a struggling economy.
Metamorphosis Boutique in Silver Spring, Maryland opened its doors to the public in November of 2007. Founder, owner, and operator Sharon Bullock says her love for fashion inspired her to open the store.
Well, fashion has been my passion since I was a teenager. I was actually in junior high when I wanted to be a model, and since I didn't pursue that career, it was just that little girl inside of me that still loved fashion.
For the first 5 years, Bullock's store didn't have a problem attracting customers. That all changed last year when international chain H&M opened in the same neighborhood.
The majority of my customers is not the department store type customer. However, with the opening, of course, it was new to the area, and I'm sure that a lot of my customers went to H&M for the opening, and I'm sure that it did affect the traffic because I know they had superior traffic.
Rival retailers are not the only thing facing metamorphosis. With the poor economy largely affecting both chain stores and independent businesses, the stores had to become more adaptable.
I'm in the kind of business where, well, at least right now, I have to create my own traffic in the store, if you will, because if it has slowed down, then I need to do some creative things to get customers in my store. And I have done things such as trunk shows, fashion shows, book signings, and things of that nature that, have helped really bring people into the store who didn't know that we exist.
Bullock says that with the upcoming season being prime time for retail, she is starting to see sales pick back up and is optimistic about the future of the store. Landry Hatcher, WABJ News.
Coming up next, 2-year or 4-year colleges for graduating seniors. Which is the best option?
And a walk to raise money for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Hey, you going out like that?
Yeah, why?
Well, what would the neighbors think?
I see you! Come look at Mr. Feather. Look what I have. Mr. Bird, remember? Bark, bark, bark. We're just playing. We're just playing. I'm trying to get you out of here.
Even still.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Welcome back to WABJ News. As students are well aware, graduating seniors have many options after completing high school. Some go into the armed forces, some begin to work full-time, and many continue their schooling. When it comes to higher education, 2 of the most popular options are going to community colleges and 4-year institutions. WABJ reporter Celeste Gregory has more on these options.
2-year versus 4-year. According to the American Association of Community Colleges, 2-year colleges educate 59% of new healthcare workers and 80% of firefighters, law enforcement officers, and EMTs are credentialed at community colleges. Still, negative stereotypes associated with community colleges continue, like the work is easier compared to 4-year institutions. Terry Thomas, a representative from Montgomery College in Silver Spring, Maryland, says this is not true.
Classes are rigorous, they're intensive, they are as I would expect at a 4-year school.
However, some students like these at American University didn't consider going to a community college.
Being at the same place for 4 years can help you get more used to, being with the same people for 4 years can make it easier to have friends who are more comfortable with where you are, which makes the whole learning experience easier.
Although there's much to think about when deciding on a college, more and more students are turning to community college as an alternative or to cut the expense of a 4-year degree. I'm Celeste Gregory, WABJ News.
On the health front, diabetes has become an increasingly common condition, especially among young people, while the hunt for a cure continues. Recently, there was a walk in Washington, D.C. to help raise money for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Our reporter, Maggie Gallagher, was there.
Thousands of people turned out on a Sunday morning to show support and raise money for people living with diabetes. Organizer Libby Surs says this marks the 15th year of the walks, which are now being held worldwide. She explains that the walk is important because it brings the community together in support of diabetes, and that fundraisers are key in trying to find a cure.
The walk is so important. 15,000 children and 15,000 adults every year are diagnosed with type 1. We walk for them and the 3 other million people living with type 1 today.
The World Health Organization reports that diabetes has become one of the most common diseases in the world, affecting 347 million people. But becoming a diabetic is more complicated than eating too much candy or having a family member with diabetes.
I know this firsthand. I was diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 10. When the doctors first told me the news, I was shocked. I went into a mild depression, cried every night, and stopped talking to people. I remember lying in my hospital bed wondering, why me?
I then learned that diabetes is an autoimmune disease, which means a person's body destroys its own insulin cells for reasons that puzzle scientists. There are 2 types of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, which is diagnosed early in life in people as young as 14 months. Type 2 diabetes is seen mostly in older adults. For unclear reasons, the number of young people living with diabetes is increasing. More and more young people, like myself, have learned to cope with the disease and are taking part in fundraising and teaching the public. As of yet, there is no cure for diabetes. However, with fundraisers like the walk done by JDRF, people hope a cure can be found soon. For WABJ News, I'm Maggie Gallagher.
Whether you're looking for something in the area to do or looking for something fun and educational to do with your family, the Tots to Teens Expo has all of your options under one roof. WABJ reporter Jockey Ngbazo has more on the event.
The Tots to Teens Expo offers a variety of exhibits for families to enjoy. These activities range from fashion shows to cooking classes, and even a video game station where teens can dance along with the players on screen. Founder and radio host Taylor Thomas says she started the expo because she wanted to educate families on different activities they can participate in.
I wanted a place where families could go to get information, to socialize and communicate without there being a fee or a charge. And you may have something I want to share to make your life better and vice versa. And that's why I created the Tots to Teen Expo.
Kimberly Isaac, who recently moved to the DC area, says the expo has helped her find activities for her daughter.
We're new to this area, so it was a great opportunity for us to find out the different activities that she can participate in, especially over the summer.
The vendors gave students the opportunity to learn various skills that they can use as they grow older. At one booth, Tina Marie Harrison explained what Fab Camp has to offer young girls.
We actually provide an overnight experience for girls ages 6 to 16, and we take them from urban areas in the city, and we take them out to Prince William Forest Park in Dumfries for, like I said, a 5-day experience, and they learn all sorts of activities about etiquette, self-esteem, and empowerment. We teach them about business acumen, developing career plans.
This expo is a great event for parents, kids, and vendors to mix and learn more about what the community has to offer.
So I'm having fun, a lot of fun. Do you guys want to come back next year? Yes. With its first event, Tots to Teens has already brought in upwards of 2,400 people from the local community. And for next year, organizers are already planning to expand the event and have set the date for April 19, 2014. This is Jockey Ngbazo, WABJ News.
Up next on WABJ News, how far will RG3 take the Redskins in the upcoming season?
And why is lacrosse still an unknown sport?
Being a dad can be tough.
No. What do you mean she's not coming?
When's the fairy princess coming?
Any minute now.
But when you're willing to do anything...
It is I, Cruz Zinkerbell. Yeah. Okay, time for cake.
It's always worth it.
I know it's really you, Drew. I'm just pretending for the other kids.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Hungry?
Yeah.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
It's been another action-packed year in Washington sports. The Wizards once again found themselves with a losing record and out of the playoffs. But Washington fans did see some signs of life, as the Wizards were a much better team after point guard John Wall's return from injury. With the pieces that they've assembled, the Wiz are widely regarded as a playoff contender in 2014, as long as they can stay healthy. And on to the baseball diamond, the Nationals opened the season as a favorite to win the World Series in 2013, after having the best record in Major League Baseball in 2012. The Nats returned one of the best pitching lineups in the National League, headlined by Steven Strasburg. But the question remains whether they can handle the pressure of being the hunted rather than the hunters. And unless you were out of the country last fall, you probably know that the Redskins had their best season since 2005. The Skins won the NFC East and brought the playoffs back to Washington.
The Washington Redskins select Robert Griffin III, quarterback.
It all started with the offseason acquisition of Robert Griffin III. The Redskins then went on to a 10-6 record, capped by a 7-game winning streak to end the regular season. But this success came at a cost, as Griffin re-injured his knee in the Skins' first-round playoff loss at FedEx Field. Despite that, Skins fans are optimistic about the future.
But I mean, he is the kind of the glue that holds the team together, so it's more than just a physical impact. If he's out, it'll have an impact on the chemistry of the team. But looking at it, it seems like he should be all right. So I think the season will still go pretty well for the Redskins.
But even if Griffin has a full recovery, the Redskins still face many hurdles this season, including a brutal slate of regular season games.
Mike Jones, who covers the Redskins for the Washington Post, says that they have a lot of work to do before they can consider themselves playoff contenders.
Now, all the defensive coaches have seen the type of plays that they want to run with Robert Griffin III, what type of offense that they're going to have put together. And so they've got to stay ahead of the curve, find more ways to be creative, find ways to make their offense more explosive.
The Skins front office also finds itself at a disadvantage because of a $36 million salary cap penalty that's hampering the team's ability to sign free agents. But until then, Skins fans wait in eager anticipation of Week 1's Monday night showdown with the Philadelphia Eagles.
And on to other sporting news. Lacrosse is a popular high school and college sport. What about at the professional level, though? WABJ correspondent Connor Gallant reports.
Lacrosse is a very popular sport in high schools and colleges along the East Coast. The sport dates back to Native Americans in pre-Columbian times. But exactly how popular is professional lacrosse among sports fans?
Do you know anything about professional lacrosse?
Professional lacrosse?
Yep.
Not too much, no. I grew up in Houston, and nobody in Texas really plays lacrosse, so grew up just watching football, baseball, and basketball.
They were referring to Major League Lacrosse, also known as the MLL. Not many people seem to know much about this professional league. One sports fan says it just isn't publicized enough.
I don't know. It's not on TV very much, so there's no real exposure for it, I guess.
It's not just the fans that are scarce. According to 2013 MLL rosters, there are fewer than 300 active players in the whole league, compared to more than 200 in the NHL. But in college sports, it's the opposite. According to 2010 NCAA rosters, there are twice as many college lacrosse players and college hockey players in the U.S. Though we don't know if the MLL will ever become as popular as the NHL or the NFL, but we do know that it has the potential. I'm Connor Gallant for WABJ News.
Well, thank you, Chiamaka. There are many dance companies in the DMV area. WABJ's Sierra Snyder tells the story of a 15-year-old who started a dance company on her own and still manages to stay on the honor roll.
When you think of dance company owners, you probably don't think of high school students.
But Angelita Pollard, a sophomore at Bishop McNamara High School in Prince George's County, is changing that. Her ensemble, Extra Productions Dance Company, better known as XPDC, already has 26 members.
I had been dancing since the age of 3, and 2 years ago I stopped dancing at my studio. And I wanted to continue doing what I love and what I had always loved, but under my own management.
Angelita started her company a year ago to give kids an outlet to dance. She had no money for studio or advertisements, but her reputation as an award-winning dancer instantly attracted 11 students.
I actually started my company by sending out a text message. I sent out a message to all of my friends that I knew that danced, and I told them I don't have a place or any money, I just have a dream and an idea. Do you want to be a part of my company?
At XPDC, Angelita teaches jazz, hip-hop, contemporary, and tap dancing. Her company performs at local venues including the Prince George's County Fair, the Renaissance Festival, and Six Flags, as well as holding its own recitals. Angelita dances, manages costuming, scheduling, and choreography for all the shows.
Never could I have imagined that the company would go so far. It was just a dream. I had no money whatsoever. I just had support and love and people who believed in me.
Even though it's tough while running a company, Angelita still manages to keep up a 4.1 GPA. Sierra Snyder, WABJ News.
Well, that's it for us. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of WABJ News. I'm Landry Hatcher.
And I'm Michelle Chavez. You can also see us online on YouTube at WABJ News and UJWonline.org. Our thanks to the Washington Association of Black Journalists and American University for our production and studio space.